dogs. For the longest time, for as long as I can remember, my family has always had dogs. We've had inside dogs, we've had outside dogs. Pretty much every year of my life I can remember us having a dog. Even when there wasn't one, I just picture a dog there now because I'm so used to their presence. Hey there Juggies, it's your old pal McJuggerNuggets here. It's time for a little story time from inside the dog cage. That's right, we have outdoors dog cages. But why do we have these if we have 3 inside dogs? We never use these. And if you notice, they're abandoned, they're boarded up. What happened here? What is the whole story? So today I bring you the story of Fred. I've told this story once on the live stream before. I tried to find the highlights, but I couldn't. So I figured I'll tell you guys the story straight up and put it onto YouTube. Now this sort of goes straight in line with the story of Jesse walking through the hot asphalt at age 8. This is another story from actually that same year. I was 8 years old. It was probably one of the most traumatic years of my life, amongst others. But this is cool. I like giving you guys separate stories to better complete the picture that is my life. Eventually, I will give you guys a Draw My Life. I've been saving it for a long time, and I will continue to save it. I need to give you these individual pieces, these puzzle pieces, these stories, so when I do give you this super dramatic, insane Draw My Life story, I won't need to go into much detail because you'll already know these little stories. Now the story of Fred. First of all, let me just clarify, Fred is not a person, Fred is a dog. Before we had Boobs, Poopy John, and Black Boobs, or Ella, John, and Luna, we had another set of dogs. We've had Ella and John for around 5 to 6 years, maybe longer. I could be dating myself, I'm not really sure. We've only had Luna for a year. Before that, we had a lab named Barney, we had a Chesapeake Bay Retriever named Fred, and we had a really freaking old nasty-ass beagle named Betsy. They kind of had like a Flintstones thing going. I don't know, my dad was a fan of the Flintstones, I guess, and that was a thing. Anyway, these dogs, aside from the beagle, Barney and Fred, the lab and the Chesapeake Bay Retriever, were originally inside dogs. I think we had got them one year for Christmas, and they were these little cute adorable puppies, and they grew up and got to be really fucking annoying. Barney, the lab, ironically a lot like Boobs, Ella the dog, they had eating disorder. They just eat every goddamn thing in sight. They'd eat plastic, they eat fucking a whole loaf of bread, so many times where my parents would freak the F out because the dog ate something. So Barney eventually had to get banished outside with Betsy the beagle, and so we have these outdoor cages. Now our dear old friend Fred, he also kind of frequented the indoors section, and he was also out in the cage for some time. Basically, we'd go through phases of liking them a lot, having them inside, and then not being able to deal with them because they'd piss all over the walls, so we'd have them in the outdoor cages. Now mind you, we had some prime real estate here. These dog houses were housed with hay, LG TVs, freaking Xbox 360s. These guys had the hookup. I believe there was also a divider dividing the fences because there was a lot of humping going on around here. As I walk around here, yeah, there's a lot of humping to be had and a lot of shit, a lot of poop, yeah. Anyway, now that you got that ridiculous background, let's get into the story. Now Jesse was a little chubby boy of 8 years old, the same kid who had just gotten done burning his feet, 2nd to 3rd degree burns, restricted to a wheelchair for like a month, and then also crutches for some time. This was over the summer. Finally, fall was coming, Jesse's favorite time of year, birthday, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, all that shit. So yeah, Halloween came around. So now this part, as far as the logistics, I'm not 100%. But as far as what actually happened, can never forget it. So I was in the living room. It wasn't the living room we had now. They had pink carpeting, awkward. I was just sitting on the couch watching TV. Big brother, Jeffrey, was sitting on a chair watching TV as well. We were just chilling, sitting. Fred was in the house. I don't think he was in the house for long during this time. So it was kind of like a treat to have Fred in the house. Jeffrey was petting Fred. You know, just petting him on the head, as you would normally pet a dog. And I'm just sitting there watching him pet Fred. I was like, hey, you know, I started to get the jealous brother. I would like to pet Fred as well. So I came up to Fred, and since Jeffrey was petting Fred while sitting down, I approached from behind. Probably not the best idea, but what the fuck does it matter? It's your family dog. And you know dogs love the hiney scratch, so I went up behind Fred and just started scratching his hiney. Now, let's get a flashback real quick before we get into it. There was one period of time where Fred was an indoor dog. He got out of the house, and he ran away. This was during a super fierce thunderstorm. He was gone for a week. We looked all over God's creation and could not find the motherfucker. He had gone. He was lost and he's bumblefuck. Storms rattled his brain. Lord knows what happened. I don't know if you guys ever seen that movie Homeward Bound, but shit goes down to those dogs. Traumatized. Whatever happened to Fred, who knows? A lot of question marks during that time he was gone. We eventually found him, but after we found him during those thunderstorms and that time missing, he was not the same dog he was before. He was shaken. He had a twitch to him. He was weird. He wasn't right in the head. Anyway, back to present time. Jesse comes up behind Fred, 8 years old, little chubby fat kid. I start scratching his butt. Give him a little hiney scratch. Normal dog would like that, but not someone who's been damaged, not someone who got ran away and traumatized by whatever the fuck happened. Maybe he got into a fight with a skunk or a raccoon or a possum. I don't know. Suddenly, Fred starts to show his teeth. You start to hear him growl, just a little bit, just like, I'm still petting his butt and I'm like, well, Fred, what's going on? I start to stop petting his butt. But suddenly, the hair on his back stands up, and you really see his teeth, and you really hear him growl. Suddenly, I start to back up, because this motherfucker, I don't know, I set him off. I must have touched where he got hurt or something. He turned on me, pinned me down against the couch. He proceeded to take a large few bites out of my temple. Shit you not. Literally skin, flesh just being pulled off, blood, things were exposed, 8 years old, bleeding profusely. As I was getting mauled, I turned my head this way, or no, I turned my head this way, is this ear, and he took bites out of my ear. He took bites right from behind it, right behind the ear as I was shielding myself. Suddenly, my dad and mom come by, Jeffrey's like yelling at him. Fred gets off, and then suddenly Fred has a moment of like realization, like, holy shit, I just mauled an 8-year-old kid. This was not only just a kid, but this was like my owner. This was my family. This was my family, and I just mauled one of my own. Defenseless kid who was just petting. You could tell Fred fucked up. That's when Fred realized he fucked up. I immediately had to be rushed to the hospital. I got numerous stitches, and it was bad. I had to get my head shaved. Poor 8-year-old Jesse. Not a good time. Fred was immediately kicked out of the house, had to live in the fences, and from then on, Fred still was not the same. If anything, he was even worse. Following that set of dogs was never allowed in the house again. Suddenly, we were not trusting of the dogs anymore, and they just kind of rotted in these cages. That sounds bad. They didn't rot. We took care of them, but we never really gave them the luxury of being inside. They really messed us up too. It's funny how Fred got traumatized and then he somehow placed that traumatization on others. It was like, I don't know if you've ever seen that movie Green Mile, but John Coffey sucks basically the demons, the evil out of someone and basically has to give them to somebody else. That's basically what Fred did. He got fucked up and then he ended up passing that on to somebody else. And I think that's just a beautiful, poetic thing that exists in our world. Anyway, the cages, the beagle died, and Fred and Barney, our two old dog friends, started declining in health. When I was eventually growing up, I was a teenager, and Fred's health was failing and he was dying. I came out and I apologized. I apologized for hating him, pretty much. And I forgave him for fucking me up when I was younger. And we had a moment. It was almost like he knew, like he was sorry, and that maybe I just made it up in my head to feel better, but I totally forgave him, and it was a cool catharsis, and it was nice. There was some closure. And not long after that, he passed away. And then it took us a little bit, but then we got a new set of dogs. And these dogs were inside since the get-go, and honestly, they've been amazing. And I trust all three of these dogs with my life, and it's funny how that works. The fact that I'm able to trust these dogs even after something as horrific as that. So that was the story of Fred, guys. Story of how Fred pretty much bit my face off. That's why I look like this, guys. No, I'm kidding. But I had to share that story with you guys. I think it's a cool story. And just be careful with dogs and like those who have been hurt. It's just, it's hard. It's sometimes you never know what's going to happen. even at such a young age. Anyway, we got the stream tonight. I still don't know if I'm going to be late or not, but hopefully I'll be on time. 7 p.m. Eastern to midnight, links in the description. On top of, we got the shirts for sale. Those are also in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe for more content. Twitter, Instagram, links in the description. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this story and if you would like to hear more. Trust me, I'm chock full of them. We're leading up till I eventually do the Draw My Life, which will cover everything. There's lots of great stories I have. Alright, love you, J's to death. Hope to see you in the live stream tonight. And don't forget to keep it rigid.